The subconscious parts of our brains account for 95% of our brain's activity. Are you going to be able to look at them and be able to take inspiration from them and not be envious of their success? It's impossible not to see a positive change in your life. At the core of manifesting is self-worth. So the secret of manifesting, let's say, is that we manifest what we subconsciously believe we are worthy of receiving. And so really it's all about how you feel about yourself. And if we change how we feel about ourselves, if we go on this healing journey and recognize our worth and start to believe that we're worthy of success, love, happiness, joy, then of course it goes without saying that your life is going to change and improve. But it also helps you really change your mindset, your perspective on everything. And sort of when I take people through my own 7-step guide to manifesting, I always say, it's impossible not to see a positive change in your life by following them, because it really does impact and influence every single part of your life.
You said that it's backed kind of by spirituality and science. I can understand the spiritual side of it. How is it rooted in science?
Okay, so there's lots of neuroscience really to back up manifestation, and it really comes down to the visualization part of it. So when we repeatedly visualize our goals and when we mentally rehearse, we prime the subconscious parts of our brain to reach those goals. So the subconscious parts of our brains account for 95% of our brain's activity. And so when we focus on something a lot, we'll filter out unwanted information and we'll see opportunities that are aligned with our goals. And then we have loads of cognitive biases that we use generally. And one of them, for example, is called frequency illusion. So that means that when you focus on something, you start to notice it more and it appears more prevalent than it is. And so I kind of sometimes give the example of, if you've just bought a new car and then all of a sudden every other car on the road is that car. And I think it can work in manifesting in this sense that, let's say that you want a new job and there's a particular role that you're looking for, and you were going through Facebook and suddenly, or LinkedIn, and suddenly you would notice an ad that was for that role because you've been focusing on it. So your subconscious is actually looking out for it and then it finds it. And if you weren't and you weren't focusing on it and you didn't have that clarity or that goal, then you might have just completely missed it. Manifesting is making something happen. It's creating a reality based on what is in your mind. So if you have thought about something, my 7 steps, right? Let's just say that, I'll just top line.
List the 7 steps.
Be clear in your vision, get a goal. So your goal is, the pizza restaurant. Remove fear and doubt. Believe you're worthy of creating a business that is successful and that you have it in you to create the best pizza restaurant in London. Step 3, align your behavior. So you start taking action, you do everything you need to do, you set it up. You do all the incredibly hard work that you need to do to actually get it going. Step 4, overcome tests from the universe. So with the many challenges that are going to come to you as you open this restaurant, how are you going to persist through them? How are you going to take value from the lessons? How are you going to continue to show up even when it gets difficult? Step 5 is embrace gratitude. How are you going to keep yourself in a high vibrational frequency by constantly coming back to gratitude, being able to, I call it the manifesting sweet spot, knowing what you want whilst being entirely grateful for all that you already have. Step 6, turn envy into inspiration. Are you going to be able to look at other restaurants? We spoke about the pizza restaurants that you don't like before I came on, but are you going to be able to look at them and be able to take inspiration from them and not be envious of their success and allow them to show you what's possible? And then are you able to do step 7 and have trust and faith that it's going to happen the way it's supposed to? And if you do all those, that is manifestation.
I love that. It sounds like a good business plan.
It absolutely is.
I'm sold. I'm coming to the restaurant.
Yeah.
You're just going to come.
I'm coming.
Okay, so that's one pizza sold. Lovely.
How was your upbringing?
Not a particularly happy one. My mum is a very unhappy person. She has a lot of mental health issues. While she is so loving, she's still alive and I love her so much. But yeah, there was no emotional safety or security at all. I was, brought up culturally very different to where I grew up. So I grew up in Oxford, but I was Iraqi, my family are Muslim. It was everything was different. The food we ate, the holidays we celebrated, the color of my skin, the color of my hair, the texture of my hair. It was just, I was different and I knew it. And I was very much felt that difference. And then obviously when the Iraq War broke out, and Islamophobia was huge. And, you know, I would be very embarrassed of my mum because she wore a headscarf. I wouldn't want her anywhere near school. So there was that. Then my brother and sister were much older. I didn't have there was no play. Like I don't remember ever getting to play. I'd play a lot of computer games on my own, and that was kind of it. My dad, on the other hand, God bless his soul, he is the most intelligent man I'd ever met. An incredible, now I'm so grateful to everything he taught me, you know, but at 5 years old, he's talking to me about quantum physics. Not about what I've done at nursery or school that day. He had no interest, and he wasn't an emotional man. Like it took until his last years really that he started to say, I love you. That just wasn't who he was. His brain didn't operate that way. He didn't experience emotions in the way a normal person does. So he wouldn't think to ask us how we were, if that makes sense. But he was just so focused on making sure that we were supported in other ways.
Sleep is the most impactful and natural performance-enhancing tool at our disposal. Without it, my body would simply not be able to recover and repair itself after I go for a run or a workout. It is essential to maintaining and enhancing our well-being. With Whoop, I'm able to track my sleep every single night and how it affects the type of activities I choose to do the following day. Think of sleep as your bank balance. The best thing is that every single day you get the chance to deposit more into the bank so that in the long term, you withdraw in the form of energy expenditure when you need it most. Whoop breaks down sleep so as to take the guesswork out of the equation. Not only do you get guidance each day around how much sleep you need based on your activity that day and what your optimal time to go to bed is, but with Whoop, you get a detailed analysis of the quality of your sleep and what you can do to be improving it. In addition to monitoring your sleep, you'll also get detailed insights into your recovery, stress levels, strain, and feedback on how your lifestyle choices impact each of these metrics. If you are interested in taking control of your health and wellness so that you can excel in all aspects of your life, you have to go and check out Whoop. Go to join.whoop.com/untapped to try Whoop for free for 30 days today.
Having said that, you know, for years I was like, oh, I had a great childhood because I went to a nice school. And I was like, oh, I was so lucky. I had such a good upbringing. And only when I started to look back, I was like, oh, this is why I've got no self-worth. This is why I don't know how to be vulnerable in relationships. This is why I have commitment issues. This is why I don't like myself. This is why I never learned to be positive. And when I look back at all the things that I went through, and it was much more than all of that, but I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It's no fucking wonder I ended up the way I did, but how amazing that you can undo that damage and you can change it.
Did I hear that your father gave everything that he had away towards the end of his life?
Yeah. He, you know, my dad was he grew up in like complete poverty, one of 9 kids his mum died when he was 5 in Iraq. His dad's livelihood was a stool like this size. He had an amazing life. I mean, he moved to England on a scholarship when he was young and built this amazing business. He got exiled from 2 different countries, started all over 3 times. I mean, he's just extraordinary. He's the smartest man I've ever met, but the humblest man. I mean, we talk about humble, like he was it. He never wanted for anything in his life. I mean, he used to buy to be CEO of like the biggest company. He'd go to like our school charity things and wear like our old school charity uniform. Like at the end, it was like Primark clothes, like a briefcase that he had for maybe 25 years. He was just a very humble man. And as growing up, I saw him as stingy. Like I thought he was I hated him growing up. I was like, fucking hell, just give me an allowance. Like, you clearly got money, you give it to me. Like, I didn't get it. And I couldn't understand it. He just wanted he really needed us to get good grades, hard work. And there was none of that emotions, as I mentioned. But as we got older, what I recognized was that he was in fact doing it for us. And he got cancer a couple of years ago, and he in the last few years of his life, wanted to make sure that, in his words, when he died, the only thing we had to worry about was burying him. And absolutely everything was given away to a lot for orphans. That was really, really important for him to give money to orphans. And so he gave everything away for our kids' education, basically, and our kids' education. And that is an invaluable gift that I couldn't have even fathomed how a man can provide the education for all these children, 9 grandchildren and their children. And now I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't get that allowance or that fancy car or that. And you gave me you taught me the value of hard work and perseverance and the value of money. And that is a greater gift than anything else. And the fact my kids can get, it's just incredible. And I think I could just learn so much from him. And he's just an amazing man.